Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We're reading from Sri Caitanya Caritāmṛta, Adi-lila, chapter 10, entitled The Trunk, Branches and Sub-branches of the Chaitanya Tree. Texts 101 to 103. So we'll repeat the 103rd verse together. Tina Sandhya Radha Kunde Apita Snanana Vrajavasi Vaishnavekari Alinga Namana. Shri Raghunatha Das Goswami took 3 baths daily in the Radhakunda lake. As soon as he found a Vaishnava residing in Vrindavan, he would embrace him and give him all respect. Sarda Sapta Prahare Kare Bhakti Rasadane Charidanda Nidra Sikha Nahe Konadine. He engaged himself in devotional service for more than 22.5 hours a day, and for less than 2 hours he slept, although on some days that also was not possible. Now we will repeat. Tanhara sadhane riti shunite chamatkara. Seirupa Raghunatha Prabhu ye amara. Tanhara, his. Sadhana riti, process of devotional service. Shunite, to hear. Chamatkara, wonderful. Say, that. Rupa, Shri Rupa Goswami. Raghunatha, Raghunatha Das Goswami. Prabhu, Lord. Ye, that. Amara, my. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki. I am struck with wonder when I hear about the devotional service he executed. I accept Srila Rupa Goswami and Raghunatha Dasa Goswami as my guides. Purport. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami accepted Raghunath Das Goswami as his special guide. Therefore, at the end of every chapter he says, Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Caitanya Caritāmṛta Kahe Krishna Dasa. Sometimes it is misunderstood that by using the word Raghunatha, he wanted to offer his respected obeisance to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, for it is sometimes stated that Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami was his initiating spiritual master. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami does not approve of this statement. He does not accept Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami as the spiritual master of Srila Krishnadasa Kaviraja Goswami. The translation of the verse again. I am struck with wonder when I hear about the devotional service he executed. I accept Srila Rupa Goswami and Raghunatha Dasa Goswami as my guides. Hare Krishna. So today we continue our discussion on 2 topics. One is Raghunath Das Goswami, mentioned in these verses of Caitanya Caritāmṛta. Another is the qualities from 16th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, the divine qualities described in the first 3 verses of Bhagavad-gītā of 16th chapter. We can see here Raghunath Das Goswami was extremely strict in his spiritual life. No one can follow his example, actually. Or we can say we can follow, but we cannot imitate. It is said also that Srila Prabhupada slept only 2 hours a day, yes, from 10 to midnight. And then he translated books. So, who can live like this? Yes, hardly anyone. So, Raghunath Das Goswami, he slept even less than 2 hours, and not even every day was this possible, to sleep so much. Yes. So, and we can see from his example, it is said that his following of principles were like lines in stone. So that means that we cannot change them in any way, cannot not be washed away, cannot be filed away. You can do nothing with these lines in stone. Yes, remain forever. So this should be also our lead in our life. We should follow this example as far as possible. And we can see that this was not dry renunciation from Raghunath Das Goswami, but full of love. Whenever he saw a Vaishnava in Vrindavan, and I believe practically everyone in Vrindavan is a Vaishnava, he embraced him. Yes, he was so grateful that he can see a Vaishnava. And we discussed already that he's our Prayojana Acharya, and something is very important in his songs, written in Stavavali, his compilation of songs. And he wrote in one of his songs that his dedication to Vrindavan and to the Vrindavan mood, and we discussed yesterday a little bit of Vrindavan mood also. He said, even if Krishna in Dvaraka personally invites me there, to Dvaraka, I will not go from Vrindavan. But if I hear that Srimati Radharani went to Dvarakanath, to Krishna in Dvaraka, and he embraces her to his chest, then I would fly there faster than Garuda. And there is another statement of Raghunath Das Goswami. He said that, yes, if I would not go out of Vrindavan for any price. Even if great devotees would invite me, I would not go into their association. I would rather chat mundane things with the Vrajavasis. Hare Krishna. So yes, he as Prayojana Acharya teaches us how we should devote our heart and life to Vrindavan, to Krishna in Vrindavan, to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Yes. And Narottam Das Thakur says in Prima Bhakti Chandrika, if someone is worshipping Krishna but he doesn't worship Srimati Radharani, I don't want his face, to see his face. Mahajan is only one who worships Radha and Krishna. Yes. So he proclaims for Mahajan that those Mahajans are those who worship Radha and Krishna. Jai Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Jai Shri Radha Parizishwar ki, Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadramai ki, Jai Shri Shri Sita Ram ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Pramanandi. So yes, and we can see from his example, not that he just embraced Brajavasis, but also every day he offered 1,000 dandavat obeisances to Krishna. Even from material point of view, this is heavy exercise. And not just 1,000 full dandavat obeisances to Krishna, but also 2,000 dandavat obeisances to devotees. Every day, every single day. 3,000 obeisances. Can you imagine? Per day. Yes. This is one important aspect that we should understand in spiritual life. Although we are told repeatedly, you're not this body, and we should understand that we are not this body and try to live according to spiritual principles, we should still know that everything belongs to Krishna. This is also the first principle to understand. And also our body belongs to Krishna. So whatever is entrusted to us, we should understand that this is not mine. It's Krishna's property. Therefore I should care for Krishna's property. I shouldn't be neglectful to any of Krishna's property, and everything is Krishna's property. In spiritual culture, we respect everything. Therefore, a devotee, before he gets up in the morning, he begs pardon from Mother Earth that he will walk upon her with his feet. But here in the West, we were grown up in the environment that everything we move around with our feet. But we should understand that everything belongs to Krishna. Everything is worshipable, actually. So one should be very conscious what he's doing. And also a body is Krishna's property, so we should take good care of it and not neglect it or engage in unnecessary sense enjoyment. And this is the next topic we will discuss from these qualities from Bhagavad-gītā, is dharma, self-control. And it goes very well along this Raghunatha Das Gosvami, who was extremely self-controlled. And Prabhupada, in his purport to these 3 verses from 16th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, in regard to dharma, he speaks mostly about sex life, because this sex impulse is extremely strong. Otherwise, the species would not continue their existence without very strong sex impulse. And this is also Maya's most strong weapon, sex life. And we can see from many great rishis, they were often victims of sex desire. And great tapasvis who dedicated themselves for thousands of years to tapasya, great tapasya. And so much so that Indra became afraid for his position. And he sent some heavenly damsels to distract their meditation and tapasya of these great sages. And Hare Krishna, they became allured after thousands and thousands of years of tapasya. So one may think, after thousands of years of sense control, of this dharma, they still fall victim to it. So how strong it is. So we should be very careful about this sex desire. and about everything actually. Therefore, it is said in Upadeshamrita of Rupa Gosvami, Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam uptara pasta vegam, etan vegam yovishahita dira sarvam apimam pritivim sasishyat. That one first requirement is to control our senses, our speech, our Vacho vegam manasa, our mind. Mind is, of course, the root cause of all problems, because mind is a material element, and as a material element it is designed for material existence. Yes, this is the purpose of mind, is to help us to exist in material life. So therefore mind is always engaged in pursuing material happiness. And since it's our nature to be Satchit Ananda, that we are eternal, we never die, and we are full of consciousness, Chit, we know things, we know that we exist, and Ananda, we are blissful by nature. So we pursue these things, but because of avidya, through material body, gross and subtle. So the mind is designed to pursue this Satchitananda through material body. Yes. So as long as we don't develop taste for Krishna consciousness, it's impossible to give up taste for material pleasures. Yes. Vishaya vinavartante niraharasya dehina. Rasavarjam rasopasya param drishtva nivartate. It is explained by Krishna in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad-gītā that even though one may control his senses, if he doesn't experience the higher taste, he will become victim of these lower tastes. Yes, and in the next verse he explains that the senses are so powerful and strong that forcefully attract even the mind of great personalities. Yatato hyapikanta purushasya vipashita indriyani pramatini haranti prasabam mana. Yes. So even great personalities become succumb to desire of the senses, of which the king is the mind. Yes, therefore one should be extremely careful about the mind. And we mentioned in one of our previous classes how gives rise to lust always, nityam dadati kamasya, mind. And one should not trust the mind at any time. Yes. So yes, so this dharma or self-control is mostly about the mind and of course about the senses. Therefore, jihva vegam udara pasta vegam. So we should also control our eating. This is one of the next item that is very difficult to control. Our tongue, in both ways, in eating and speaking. Yes, very difficult to control. We said that people always chat, so they cannot live without speaking. It's one of the most difficult vrata or vow is the vow of silence, to be completely silent. And one of the most severe punishments is to be put in what's the name of this solitary cell, that you don't associate with anyone. So it's very difficult to be silent. Yes. So, but devotees know what this silence is. Silence, proper silence, is material silence. So that we speak about Krishna. So this sense control is something that, or not just sense control, self-control, rather we say, is something most dreaded by devotees, most feared of. Yes, most feared of. People are extremely afraid of this sense control. But there is a secret of this. Krishna explains in 18th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, Yatadagre vishameva parinamam mritopamam tatsukam satvikam pruktam atma buddhi prasadajam. What seems to be poison at the beginning, yes, Yatadagre mritopamam, yes, is nectar at the end. It is nectar at the end. Is happiness in the mode of goodness, and is Atma Buddhi. It awakens the soul, and prasadajam gives great happiness. Yes, gives great happiness, and everyone wants to be happy. But Vishayendriya samyogatya mritopamam pariname vishameva tatsukam rajasam smritam. The happiness that is experienced in connection with the senses seems like nectar at the beginning, but it's poison at the end. Yes, it's poison at the end. And it's happiness in the mode of passion. It's happiness in the mode of passion. So it gives just misery. There is a Slovenian poet, most famous, but I don't believe that you have heard about him, who I believe he read Bhagavad-gītā because of his poems. And in one poem he directly said this, that I didn't know how everything that heart believes to be nectar turned out to be a poison. Yes. So, yes, he lamented. What? The Slovenian poet. Yes, he is called France Prešeren. I don't believe you have heard about him, but still, he had great poems, and if you go deep, you can understand higher message also that's connected with Krishna's teaching. Of course, he mostly describes his misery. Yes, but we can understand from his miserable experiences how not to engage in our life. What is not proper way to live. Yes. So, yes. So one should be very careful. This atyahara, which is next mentioned and also connected with jihva vegam and udarapasta vegam, because these urges of the tongue is also for eating, and urges of the belly is also to fill it up. We can check if we succumb to these desires unnecessarily. So if we have too much fat in our body, it's a sign, a clear sign that we eat too much. Yes. Or we speak about some mundane things and think about mundane things. It's not, we are not controlled. We are not controlled. And if we are not controlled, it's impossible to connect with Krishna, actually. And we mentioned that this control, one may think it's not natural, Yes, it's not natural. It's completely against our nature to control. But human life is based on some control. Therefore, culture itself is control. What else than control? And everyone lives in certain culture. Yes. No one can live without a culture. So one is taught by the very beginning of life how to behave in a certain manner. Yes, and what is proper and what is not. And every parent should teach their children what is good and what is bad, what is proper and what's improper, from the very beginning of life. Yes, and this is all against the nature, one may say. Yes, and all laws in the country are everything against our nature. Therefore, there is a law. You shouldn't behave like this. Therefore, if you behave like this, you'll be punished. If you behave according to your nature, you'll be punished by law. Therefore, it says that law enforcement. You have to enforce the law upon people. Yes. So the same is in spiritual life, but it's not that Krishna enforces it on us, but he teaches us how to achieve what we all are hankering for from time immemorial. We all want to be perfectly happy. This is our nature. Ananda mayo vyasat. Everyone is a living entity of pleasure. We are all pleasure-seeking living entities. We cannot live without pleasure, not even for a moment. Whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we say, is knowingly or unknowingly pursuit of happiness. Therefore, all of you that you are here, you believe that Krishna consciousness or hearing Krishna Katha will bring you some higher quality of your life, isn't it? Therefore, you are here. If you wouldn't believe so, you wouldn't be here. Yes. So, if we don't believe that something can give us some pleasure, or at least that can prevent us from some misery, we will not do it. Yes. So, therefore, this hearing is so important that we can discriminate, that we can develop this vivek. Yes, this is proper and this is improper to achieve my goal. I don't know about French, but in Slavic languages, I don't know about Russian. Who is from Russia? Ukraine, and you from Russia. In Slovenian, the sin is called greh. The same? And what is the origin of this word greh? It means that you miss something. Grešiti in Slovenian, zgrešiti means to miss something, and grešiti means to sin. So to sin means to miss our goal. Actually, this is the meaning of the sin. Is to miss our goal. Yes, we all want to be happy, but certain actions lead us away from our goal, so there are sins. Since by performing them, we will miss our goal. Yes, we will miss our goal. Therefore, Krishna and Acharyas, they teach us, yes, such and such behavior, such and such way of life will bring us to our goal, to be Anandamayo Vyasat. Yes, this is so important to understand. So these four regulative principles that Prabhupada gave us, it's not some crazy idea of someone who would like to see others suffer. Yes. Don't engage in illicit sex. And then he said, he'll suffer. No. It's for us to achieve our goal and not engage in gambling and meat eating. And yes. So this is very important to understand. These principles that are not meant to suppress us and to become despondent and miserable, but these principles of self-control are there for us to become perfectly happy, to develop relationship with the Lord. And this is the only way to be perfectly happy, to live, to realize that we are servants. This is only happiness, actually. Because people in this world are in great illusion. They think that things can make them happy, or power they can make them happy, or name and fame and prestige can make them happy. And therefore they do great tapasya, we can say, for such purposes. For example, I know from about the cyclists. I know because the Slovenians are the best in cycling in the world. I believe they won three last Tour de France, these cycling tours. Most prestigious, yes, Tour de France. And but they undergo severe austerities to achieve some useless goal. Yes, completely useless, for some prestige and glory and feeling that you're the best. And I've heard about these austerities. I didn't know until recently. Because they have to, these cycling tours are day after day for 200, 300 kilometers per day. Hours and hours of severe cycling every day. So they have to consume extremely enormous amount of calories to be able to withstand this tapasya of cycling. But if they would consume so much food, they would never be able to digest so big amount of food. So what they eat actually is only some preparations of some sugar, liquid sugar, that they can digest immediately and use it as an energy for cycling. And if they eat any proper food, the digestive system is not able to digest it anymore. So they're always living on such useless food, which cannot be called food at all. Otherwise, they jeopardize their achievements. It's craziness, actually. These topmost cyclists, they live like this. It's hell, actually. It's hellish life. Yes. But they believe that they will be happy. Yes. So everyone in this material world is as crazy as these cyclists. Yes. only devotees are trying to be sane. Yes. So as long as we don't understand, yes, this sex life is killing me, although I'm Grihastha. Therefore, Prabhupada is explaining in his purports, even Grihastha shouldn't unnecessarily engage in sex life. What to speak of having a relationship with any Mataji unnecessarily. It is explained. Nanagnik Paramadhanama Grita Kumbha Samahpuman Sutama Pira Hojahat Anadaya Vatartakrit in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that women are like fire and men are like pot of butter. And if you put these two together, the butter will definitely melt. And so you shouldn't even associate with one's own daughter unnecessarily on the solitary place. What to speak with other women? This verse explains. So we should be very careful, because it's so nice to speak with the opposite sex. It's so pleasurable. Yes. Especially if the conversation is pleasurable. Yes. And therefore, we can see even brahmacharis, they speak with women and laugh with them. This is completely against their interest. And even grihastas, they can associate only with their wives, not with other women. It's the same principle. Not that there is any other principle for grihastas. It's completely the same principle. So we should be very careful about this association with the opposite sex. Yes, because it's so pleasurable. Yes, most pleasurable. It gives most pleasure. Yes. Therefore, one should strictly business should be amongst the sexes, not anything else, practically speaking. If there is some necessity for service, there may be association, but strictly business association, not nothing else, because immediately we are drawn. Even if nothing happens, even if desire for gross sex even doesn't crosses our mind, still there is subtle enjoyment in these conversations. And I believe we all know what I'm speaking about. We have this experience. We are not from another world. Yes. So this is so important to be very careful about the association with the opposite sex. And about overeating also. Although Prabhupada said that first 2 years in Krishna consciousness, we can go on in tasting prasad as much as possible. Because we should give up so many things in Krishna consciousness, so many addictions, we can say. Not proper things, but addictions to sinful life. So at least we can engage our tongue in tasting Krishna's prasad. But we should know the proper attitude. Proper attitude should be to worship Krishna's prasad, not to enjoy it. Although we of course enjoy it very much, not just a little bit, especially it is very tasteful, and usually prasad is extremely tasteful. There are stories about this. Once it's a story, maybe you have heard it, because my Guru Maharaj explained how he was in America in some campus, and he was chanting his japa, and some people gathered around him and they discussed some Krishna conscious philosophy. But there was a Christian preacher, I don't know, 20 meters away or something, and he was blaspheming everyone. You will go to hell, you because of this, because of that. You have a girlfriend, you're not married, you'll go to hell. You do other things, you'll go to hell, and so, and hell this, hell that, hell everything. And then, but people, they didn't take him seriously. They were laughing at him. And then they asked him, what about this Hare Krishna there? What about his destiny? He'll go to hell, he said. And then they said to him, why don't you tell him? And he said, I will. They all went together to my Guru Maharaj. And he said to him, you'll go to hell. And Maharaj asked him, why will we go to hell? Because you are worshipping the false god. And how do you know that I worship the false god? It's because Krishna is false god. And then went on like this. And he asked him, and okay, if I go to hell, where will you go? And he said, I'll go to heaven. And then he said, if you go to heaven, I'd rather be in hell. He said, envious and prejudiced people are in heaven. Maybe hell is a better place. And then he had cooking classes in the campus. And this preacher wanted to prevent these cooking classes because he said that this is a false preacher there. But the students rebelled when they wanted to close these cooking classes because they enjoyed the cooking classes. And then this preacher came to these cooking classes to take notes if anything about God would be spoken, that immediately the cooking class will be over and stopped. So they cooked every week, I believe. It was a cooking class. And then, of course, he offered then bhoga to Krishna and distributed prasad. And first, he didn't want to take anything. The second time, this preacher accepted a little bit of halwa. The third time, he ate the full plate of halwa. Yes. The fourth time, he wanted to have more and more halwa. Again and again, he took halwa. And the fifth time, he came to my Guru Maharaj and with stern face, and he said, I have a question. And Maharaj prepared what type of question will be, some theological question again. And he asked, how do you prepare this halwa? Can I have a recipe? And Maharaj said, no problem. And he gave him a recipe for halwa. And he said that I have a praying group every week, and I will prepare this dish for them. And then the next time he came back and he said, I prepared halwa, but it didn't taste like your halwa. Please tell me what is the secret. And then Maharaj said, okay, I can tell you under one condition. He said, okay, what is this condition? If you, because this is something about talking Krishna conscious philosophy. So if you will not close our program because of this, I can tell you, otherwise not. And he promised that he will not close the program because of this. And he said that I prepare completely the same process as I gave you the recipe, but at the end I offer it to Krishna. And because it becomes transcendental, it tastes heavenly. And if you do it like this, your hava will also taste like this. And he said, really? How to offer this food? And he explained, just ask God, please accept this food. Or ask Krishna, please accept this food with your heart and love. And next time he came, he said, really, it works. And they became good friends after this. And he started even to chant Hare Krishna. So this is the power of prasad. So if we engage in tasting prasad, there's no harm. But after years of tasting prasad, we should also know that it's not very beneficial to overeat for my body, which is not mine. We should understand it's Krishna's. And we mentioned at the beginning, everything belongs to Krishna. So we should take proper care of it. And we should not overeat even prasad. And other aspect connected with these obeisances of Raghunatha Goswami is to exercise regularly. This is also proper care of the body. In modern times, people are extremely sedative. That means they just sit and they don't move at all. That was never the case in the past. For example, Lord Chaitanya himself, he walked all over India by foot. He went from Jagannath Puri to the southernmost part of India. This is thousands and thousands of kilometers. And then he went from Jagannath Puri through forests to Vrindavan. Again, thousands and thousands kilometers. So he was extremely physically active. And also Sanatana Goswami, he went for Govardhan Parikrama every single day. And they said that he was not living under Govardhan, he was living away. So he had to come there, and he went the long Parikrama and back. So they say that he walked around 60 kilometers per day, every day, till he was so old that Krishna himself came to him and he said, you don't have to perform this Govardhan Parikrama anymore, you're too old. And he gave him a Govardhan Shila, and he said that if you go 3 times around it, it counts as Govardhan Parikrama. So, and Raghunath Das Goswami, here we can see, he gave 3,000 full Dandavat obeisances a day. Just try it. Try it once. And you will see that 50 is already a lot. In physical sense. In physical sense. So, this exercise is really important for the body. And Prabhupada said, when this doctor, after heart attack, he was taken to a doctor, and doctor said, you prayed too much. You have also to exercise. And devotees said, this doctor doesn't know anything. But Prabhupada said, no, what he says is true. I should exercise. And from this day on, he went every day on his regular walks. And he walked every day, every single day without exception. Even if there was terrible weather, he walked up and down the whole way. Yes. He didn't miss even one day this walking. And he said that this walking saved him 10 years of his life. And in these 10 years, he saved us. Definitely. So we should also not be neglectful for this aspect, because we exist currently, as long as we have a body, we exist on 3 levels. On gross level, on subtle level, and of matter, and on spiritual level. So every aspect should be, we should not neglect any aspect or overindulge, unnecessarily indulge in any aspect. So this physical exercise should be done with the idea it's service, my service to Krishna. For example, the subtle need of the body is to hear philosophy and music and art and so on. We engage it in Krishna conscious music, philosophy and art. Yes. And spiritual, of course, is our sadhana, should be dedicated and taken very seriously, very seriously. And this is one of the most important aspects of self-control in spiritual life, that we take our sadhana extremely seriously, extremely seriously. That we don't chant our rounds without proper attention, or at least our quota of rounds without proper attention, that we go deep, we try to go deep. No talking should be allowed. Even if we have a family, we should chant together and no talking allowed during our japa. Yes, this is very important. If we allow talking and chatting during our japa, everything is destroyed. Our ability to connect is destroyed. And this is the most unfortunate thing to happen, if our ability to connect is destroyed. And definitely, if we don't have time to dedicate our life to our japa especially, we will not be able to connect, because mind is so restless. Arjuna says that it's more restless than a raging wind, and one cannot control it. And Krishna says, asamshaya mahabaho manodur nigraham chulam abhyasana tu kaunteya vairagirina chigrihiti. That without doubt, mind is extremely restless, but with abhyasa, with proper practice and detachment, this is possible. So we cannot take excuse because mind is more obstinate than the raging wind, that we cannot control it. Yes, and the most dangerous distractor of our consciousness are our phones. Yes. So during your chanting, switch it off and put it in another room. No sound should come from the phone whatsoever. Yes. We shouldn't touch the phone during our chanting. Yes. Otherwise, our mind will definitely be disturbed and distracted, our consciousness. Yes. So it's extremely important. This self-control is all-embracing thing. So because we are self. Self-control means to control ourselves on all these three levels of existence: on bodily level, on subtle level of mind and intelligence, and our spiritual level. We should control our life in order to lead it in our desired direction. And our desired direction is service. This is all that is desired. But conditioned living entities are extremely afraid of this concept of service. Yes, but only service can make one happy. We said before that things cannot give us happiness. Who can really be happy? Even in this world, even if someone is completely atheistic, any happiness comes from love. If we make happy someone that we really love, this is only happiness. If you love someone and you make him happy, this is really happiness. Nothing else. Nothing else. Hare Krishna. Is there any comment or doubt?
I have a question.
Yes.
On the bodily platform or physical platform, like when we are, like for me, when we are not sleeping in the awakened state, when mind goes here and there for some nonsense things, we can control it. At least we try to think about Krishna. But what about our sleeping state? That is beyond my control.
Yes. So this is a very important question, because Prabhupada made a perfect system. He was genius, actually. Once Mahavishnu Maharaj told, the devotees wondered how to spread Krishna consciousness more. And therefore they engaged some famous commercial company to give them some secrets how to promote Krishna consciousness more. And they took a lot of money. And the result of their research was that we have perfect program. Dancing in saffron robes in the streets, distributing books far and wide, and singing one mantra, one song all the time. It goes to the mind of people and put these signs on our foreheads. Cannot be better commercial than this. Nothing can be better. So Prabhupada made the perfect system. And his system was that before going to bed, we hear Krishna book. So that we hear about Krishna extensively, about his pastimes. And so when we absorb our mind before we go to bed in Krishna Katha, then there is more possibility that mind will ponder this during our sleeping time. Of course, it's completely out of control, as you said, and so we can do only what we can do, and we can do hearing before going to bed. This is in our capabilities, so we should take advantage of it. Yes. Hare Krishna. Yes.
So still related to sleeping, Prabhupada says as well that if you sleep more than 6 hours, then you are nonsense.
He said not his nonsense, but that you're in Tamagun.
Yeah, Tamagun. But so then I think every one of us try. But for some of us, maybe it's not working, and so how to understand this?
Yes. This is also a very important question. If we are in tamagun, we need more than 6 hours sleep. And this artificial cutting of our sleep will not help. This will not bring us to sattvagun. Therefore Krishna says, yukta havra viharasya, yukta chishtasya karmasu, yukta svaprama bodhasya, yoga bhavati dukkha. If we properly engage in balanced way to our sleep, sleeping, eating, working, recreation, then we can properly engage in yoga. That means also bhakti yoga. So if we need more than 6 hours of sleep, this is of course a sign of tamagun, as Prabhupada says, but we should face the fact everyone is affected by modes of material nature as long as he's not transcendental. And tamagun is one of the modes. And all sleep actually means tamagun, but oversleeping is exaggerated tamagun. And anyone who is not in spiritual consciousness has exaggerated tamagun. So usually when you read about proper amount of sleeping, they will say at least 8 hours. Yes, because everyone is in tamagun, need more than 6 hours of sleeping. But artificial cutting on our sleeping will not help. So what is proper way to reduce our sleeping is to engage more seriously in Krishna consciousness. Yes. Nashta preshva badrishu nityam Bhagavata-siva Bhagavatatama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By engaging in hearing and serving of great souls, our bhakti will become naishtiki, or fixed. And tada means then. Tada rajastamo bhavaha kama lobhadayasche chetar etar navidam sitvam sattve prasidati. Only then, when we become fixed in our devotional service, then we can transcend the modes of rajas and tamas. So not artificial cutting on our sleep will help, but our strict engagement in our sadhana and taking it very seriously, it will help. Yes, and this self-control in prescribed manner, not that we try to immaturely, because of this desire for fame, try to imitate Raghunatha Das Goswami and sleep 2 hours, or as we read, just take a few drops of buttermilk. Or there was some devotee in Prabhupada's time who wanted to imitate Haridas Thakur. I believe you have heard about this story. Yes. And Prabhupada said, you chant your 16 rounds without offense, and engage in service, other things. About, of course, he can also chant more, but engage. His instruction was to engage in other services, prescribed services in the temple. And then he said, yes, this instruction is for everyone else because they're not on this level. But he knows me very well, Prabhupada. He knows that for me it's okay that I chant so much. And he went to Vrindavan and he chanted all day long for some time. So I believe he lived in some cave or something, and he chanted all day long, 64 and more rounds, because Haridas Thakur chanted 192 rounds. So he tried to keep this standard, and after some time they didn't see him anymore. And they were asking, where is Babaji Maharaj? Maybe he went directly to Krishna Loka. And then after some time, some devotees stopped at the gas station because they needed to fill up the tank. And they saw Babaji Maharaj there in the service on the tank station, and asked him, "What do you do here? We thought that you were in Vrindavan or that you went to the spiritual world." And then they asked him, "Do you still chant?" "Oh, I have chanted so much. It's enough for, I don't know for how many years." So we shouldn't immaturely imitate great souls. We should engage in our sadhana as prescribed by our Guru Maharaj, because he knows our position, or he should know our position, and engage us according to our abilities to progress as fast as we can. And be sincere. This is most important, to be sincere with great desire to advance and take the process seriously. And most important is our chanting. Not that just we chant without any distractions around us, but that we try to go deep. This is most important, to try to go deep. And if we are not able to, we beg Krishna. We beg Krishna. Please, Krishna, please help me. I'm helpless. Please help me. This is the proper way. And then naturally our need for sleeping will be reduced. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Yes.
In connection with the relations between men and women, you mentioned metaphor with fire and butter, and there is a key word in this is about unnecessary interactions. So what does it mean?
Unnecessary.
More specific about unnecessary interaction, especially in the context of a temple where there is seva, and sometimes it's,
yes,
association is there for different reasons, especially in a small temple like this. So how should we understand this?
Yes, this is also a very important topic, especially for managers. If possible, never engage in the same service different sexes. The brahmacharis with some matajis. This is against all common sense and spiritual principles. If at all possible. So matajis should have service together, and Prabhus should have services together. Yes, because if they will serve together, there certainly will be interaction. You cannot avoid it. And this interaction, of course, it's not exclusively on service level, never possible, as long as we are conditioned souls. So there will be attraction, even, as I said, even if this idea of sex does not cross our mind, but there will be attraction. And this attraction, of course, influences our consciousness, our desires. And so those who live in the ashram with the idea to advance spiritually, like brahmacharis, for example, they shouldn't be engaged in the same services, because the desires will be always agitated. Yes. It's so nice, and this girl is so her service attitude is so nice, and she's so nice, and she smiles so nicely. Yes, And this will definitely agitate brahmachari's heart. We cannot avoid it, not to disturb the consciousness. And even grihastas, if they're engaged with other women than their wives, they will also be disturbed, their consciousness. There is attraction. We should admit this. We should recognize this, that there is attraction. Always there is some force, attractive force. Even if we don't say anything improperly, or do anything improperly, or think anything improperly, still there is attractive force that influences our desires. There is a story of this Gandhi movement. That there was a minister in the Gandhi government who lived in brahmacharya, although he was married and had children. But he lived in brahmacharya for 30 years or something like this. Very long time. And they wanted, because he was a man of principles, and such people are not often very much loved in the political positions because you cannot bribe them. And if a person is a person of principles, you cannot blackmail them also. So they wanted him to fall down. And they sent him a young secretary, female secretary, very nice looking and modernly dressed. And she was instructed to be very nice and polite with him, and very in service mood and so on. And then he didn't fall down with her, no problem, nothing happened. But he approached his wife after 30 years. His senses were agitated. His mind was agitated with desire to associate with the opposite sex. So he approached his wife. Yes, so if one wants to control his senses, he should avoid this association and interaction with the opposite sex by all means. But if there is no other way, of course, temple managers, then they don't have any other option that engage them. But we should know for ourselves that it should be strictly business. When we are engaged somehow or other for some service purposes, we should know for ourselves it's strictly business. Otherwise, if we'll engage in such conversation without this strong self-controlled purpose in our mind, we'll be defeated, even subtly. And subtly it's enough for our consciousness. So we shouldn't allow this to ourselves. And if at all possible, the temple managers should be very careful about it. Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
I have a question. It's related to why at the ISKCON we don't accept women to be brahmachari, because let's say if the same type of instructions and trainings would have given to the women, wouldn't it have been more easier? Because eventually there are women also who are devotees, and I know that it's a thing that was not existing in the past time. But of course, Srila Prabhupada also left one day from his house and created something what not existing before. So sometimes I feel like that why there is not women who are accepted to be brahmacharis, or at least trained to in their own way to be brahmacharis and follow the same principle that are actually guided by the Vedas.
Yes. I don't know about the temple here, but majority temples do have brahmacharini ashram. So women can engage also in spiritual training like brahmacharis, and they're called brahmacharinis, and they engage in Vedic studies, in studies of our scriptures. Of course, it is not recommended for Matajis, for women to remain single all their life, because they have different mind and body than brahmacharis, and for majority of women it's better to marry. But there are some exceptions, of course, as everywhere there are exceptions. If some girl or woman is completely in love with Krishna, and she doesn't want to accept anyone for her Lord and Lord Krishna himself, then she can remain single as brahmacharini, or later on as vanaprasthini, her whole life, completely dedicated to Krishna. And there are some cases in history of Vaishnava history that are like this. So everything is possible, but most important is our inner attitude. So maybe here there are no physical facilities to have brahmacharini ashram. I don't know.
There is the building outside is for Matajis mostly.
That one there.
Yeah.
Yes, so there is some possibility. Maybe the facility is not so well or good. I don't know. I haven't seen them. But still, the possibility is there. So if you want to join the ashram.
But I think for the women you have 2 initiations, and that's the maximum that you can have. So it's not the same as
You have
as
Harinam initiation, initiation in the chanting of the holy names, and the other is Brahminical initiation, or second initiation, which is of course completely against the tradition in India. No women were given this mantra initiation, this Brahminical initiation, never before. So Prabhupada introduced it in his society. But of course there is not sannyas initiation for women. This is the third initiation that can be given to men, and of course even men are extremely rare that receive sannyas initiation. So there is no other initiation that women cannot be given. Hare Krishna. So I believe we have to finish here, or Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Ram Navami ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.